So beautiful outside today. I'm so grateful for the sunshine that we have. Um, it's so wonderful to see everyone's faces this morning.
Take a moment. Just take a moment and find yourself in this space. Whether you have to close your eyes, whether you have to stand up, whatever it is, give yourself just a moment to reflect on the goodness, how blessed we are that we made it here another Sunday, that we get to take in another breath, we get to hear sound, we get to feel feeling and love, and that we get to experience yet again the awesome, magnificent presence of God. We are seeking peace, we are seeking healing, we are seeking love, and in all this we know what our source is. So as you hear these words, maybe for the 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th time, let's find some new meaning in that. Where there is peace in my mind, peace in my heart, let there be peace in the earth. Yes.
When there is peace in my mind, there will be peace in the earth. When there is peace in my mind, there will be peace in the earth.
Hey.
Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti,
Om Shanti,
Sing it again, say
Om Shanti, Here's my favorite part. Here we go.
Peace inside my mind, God and only God is moving.
Come on, sing these words, Cityside.
Peace inside
in your
my mind, God and only God I live to see. Peace inside my mind, God and only God is moving me. Peace inside my mind, God and only God I live to see.
Everybody say Om Shanti,
Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti,
Om Shanti, Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti,
Om Shanti, Shanti, Om.
Om Shanti, Om. Let's hear each other's ohms. Let's vibrate on that. Om. Find your ohm. Yes. Om Shanti, Om. Let's keep that going. Oh. Let me hear you. Find your own. Om Shanti, Om. Oh, say it again. Say.
Om Shanti,
That's what I'm talking about. I want you all to Stand with me on this next song. How many of us know and we want God to continue to use us for the higher good, for the greater good in all that we do? And as we are singing these words, let us remember our family and our members who are not with us this morning, knowing that God continues to use them in all the most beautiful ways, that God uses us to bless them and to be here for them too. I need you all's help on this one. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do, yeah. Oh, I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth and the stars or all of creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and knitting us to shine His light as me, as you, so you, oh, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do, yeah. And I love this verse, and it just says, command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, all things new, and God needs us. God needs us to shine as me, as you, so use me. Oh, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Hey, yeah. And God needs us to shine. God needs us to shine. God needs us to shine a light as me, as you and you. So just say it. Use me, oh God. I said I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must and Ricky would say, show me all that I must do. For Lucy, show me all that I, one more time, must do. Show me all that I must do.
I'm on the board and I'm a spiritual practitioner, so I want to welcome you today. And just knowing as I stand here that wherever I am, God is, and all is well. And I know this truth for you. At the top here, I just want to say for my live streamers especially, because I know some of you drop off a little early, that we're here today at Elastic. We'll be here next week on Mother's Day, the week after that, which is the Sunday before Memorial Day, and that's it. And then we're moving. So if you want to hear more about that, stay on till the end of the service, and you'll get more information about where we're moving to and how that's going to look. So a little teaser for later. And the live stream will still be at the new space, right? Russ, I don't know if you can hear it, but Russ is chitter-chattering at me as I'm hosting, so God bless Russ. So welcome. If you're here for the first time, we especially want to welcome you and know that this is a safe space for you to explore your inner life, your inner joy, and your inner connection to that good that is this powerful good that is present and eternal and infinite within you. And we are we practice a philosophy here rather than a actual religion. And our practice is really centered around writings by Ernest Holmes, Science of Mind. You may have heard of that, and I hope that you find something really joyful and valuable in our conversation. We also honor all paths, all wisdom and new thought teachings. And we try to create safe space, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. What we really are about is providing a supportive community where you can explore your own spiritual path and connect with the spirit and wisdom within you and connect with each other. So I hope, live streamers, you will come out and see us in real time so that we can connect in a deeper and more powerful way. And so right now I'd like to anchor our vision and our mission for Cityside by having you all share it and say it with me. And I think it's on the slide. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Dom. So together we'll say, we envision an empowered community that is living in a world of unconditional love in action. Our mission is to create safe spaces to explore and deepen our faith, grow in spiritual relationship, and connect with our authentic nature. And I love that mission. So we are also a social media friendly church. So we hope that you'll share and tag us in your social media channels. And just invite you to take a minute today to once you've done that, to put your device down and just be present for what's happening and what's occurring. And just give yourself the gift of being centered and going deep for the next hour or so. Today, our own Reverend Amy will be sharing with us in her talk about finding your inner sense of joy. And for me, finding my inner sense of joy, it's always interesting. And for me, joy can come and go. But what brings me back is, I think, my community, my spiritual community especially, because as I look into each of your eyes, you just bring me back again and again to that deep, sweet space. And I feel like I can be my true self with each and every one of you. So this is my place of joy. And so now we're going to do our meet and greet. So Russ, can you put in the chat the text to give number so that while we're doing our meet and greet here, our live streamers can give? And our icebreaker today is, what brings you joy? Please say hello to somebody you don't know.
That's fine. Watch out. Dinging the bell. Okay, everyone, let's please come back together. So good morning, I'm Keith Jacob, one of your Cityside practitioners, and today's reading is from our favorite dude, Ernest Holmes. Yes, he got promoted to dude. This thing called you, dude. As you enter into life, feeling the divine presence in everything more and more, you will hear a song of joy singing at the center of your being. You have only to be still and listen to this song of life, for it is always there. Say, knowing that loving presence is always closer to me than my very breath, I have nothing to fear. I feel this loving protection around me. I know that the song of love, joy, and of peace is forever chanting its hymn of praise and beauty at the center of my being. Therefore, I tune out of my mind all unhappy and negative ideas. I turn the dial of my thought into the sunshine of life, into brightness and laughter, into the joyous presence of radiant spirit. I lay aside all anxiety, all striving, and let the law of divine love operate through me into my affairs. Joyfully, I anticipate greater abundance, more success, and a deeper peace. Joy wells up within my mind, and life sings its song of ecstasy in my heart. The Chinese sage said that Tao, meaning spirit, produces everything, nourishes everything, and maintains everything. It flows through and is in all things, being all that is. There is nothing outside of it. There is a spiritual presence pervading the universe, welling up in your consciousness, always proclaiming itself to be the source of your being. The enlightened ones of the ages have told you that your recognition of life is God within you, recognizing himself in everything you do. There is but one presence in the universe. Since it is in and through everything, it must be in and through you. This presence manifests itself in and through all forms, all people, and all conditions. This presence is life itself. Its nature is love and givingness. So I invite you all to close your eyes, turn within. And as we begin the meditation, I invite you to let go of the mind chatter. Bring your awareness through your breath to your heart. The topic for today's meditation is the joy, joy, joy down in your heart. yourself to bring your awareness back into the room, but staying centered deep in your heart as I speak a blessing over today's service. I know that God is joy, right action, right thinking, infinite abundance, infinite power, infinite presence. I am one with this presence, with this truth, with this right action, right thinking. I am this infinite power, this infinite presence. And as it's true for me, it's true for each person here, each person on live stream, everyone in the world. We are each one of this divine creation. There is no separation between us and it. So I claim the joy deep down within our hearts today, knowing that this awareness of the love that's always present moves and lifts and energizes, inspires us to our creativity each and every day. I'm thankful for the breath. I'm thankful for the awareness. I'm thankful for the connection to that spirit, to that joy already within me. I speak a word of blessing over Reverend Amy today, knowing that this message moves through her, touched by her joy, by her presence, through her heart and spirit. I speak a word of blessing over Cityside, over each member of Cityside and the collective whole, the community, holding up the glory of a new place to move to, new excitement, new things. I claim it all as good. I claim it all as so very done, because this truth is spoken in love into a law that has already made it so. We just simply joyously open our arms and welcome our creation to us. And so it is.
I love one of the many things that I love on this journey and discovering about this particular community is that we get an opportunity to ask questions and to talk about things that we normally don't really think about every single day of our lives, right? Because the world and the things that happen, it takes us away from that. But that question, what brings us joy? That is such, it's kind of like, it's like, what really does bring me joy? What really does give us life? And, you know, in music, we get a chance to experience that joy, but sometimes we also don't get a chance to really understand what it is in that we just know it feels good. And this next song, in this verse, I want you to really listen to it, but I love this line where it says, if you want to walk in power, dedicate an hour for the shower of love. Do it in the evening. You will be receiving the peace that you've been leaving behind. Meditate on that. As we're finding that, as we are thinking about that question, what brings us joy? How do we get there? Sometimes it might just take 30 minutes, a little phone call, a little text message to receive it. It's not that, it's more simple than we think. So as we sing this song, really find that in this.
If you wanna know real feeling, take the time for healing. A moment in the morning for prayer. Begin anew with sunrise. Wipe the dust from your eyes. Be rid of your disguises again. A little for your father,
a little for your mother, a little for your sister, a little for your brother, a little love for your soul will make you whole. Oh.
If you're looking for protection, learn to read directions written in the depths of your soul. Remember in the noonday, sit in peace, meditate. Stillness takes you farther than you know. A little for your father, a little for your mother, a little for your sister, a little for your brother, a little love for your soul will make you whole. Da 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 If you want to walk in power, dedicate an hour for the shower of love. Do it in the evening, you will be receiving the peace that you've been leaving behind. A little for your father, a little for your mother, a little for your sister, a little for your brother, a little love for your soul will make you whole. Ooh. Be rid of your disguises again. 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 Be rid of your disguises again.
Thank you. Actually, I think I'm going to use the tall stand. So it's a little bit of irony this morning that I need to share because we got some sad news about an hour ago. Dave Witt made his transition this morning. And if you don't know who Dave is, he was the quiet guy who always helped set up the coffee. And he didn't say much, but he just had a wonderful presence. And so our thoughts and prayers are really with the Witt family this morning. And, you know, it's funny how God works because I think about, you know, Dave lost his wife a couple years ago and he had a deep and profound sadness about that never left him. And yet in the middle of that, you know, Lucy and Paul came here. And I know that they had a lot of fun together. And I know that they not only blessed him, but they were blessed. They have been blessed. So we just really want to lift up the whole Witt family in prayer this morning. And I actually want to dedicate my talk to Dave. You know, it's funny when I was like, okay, now I have to talk about joy. Great, because when Paul called to tell me, I was just like, oh my gosh, I felt it in my body. I viscerally felt it in my body because when we love someone and they pass, that's what happens. And, you know, talking to Paul and to Lucy early this morning, it's like you can't separate love and joy from grief, because they really go together. We wouldn't have grief if we wouldn't have first had joy and love. And so I know from the people that I've lost in my life that, there is a deep and profound sadness that happens on their passing. And there's also just a joy of realizing the connection that we have as a family, the connection we have with our loved ones, sometimes laughing about the things that that person did, or the things that always remind you of them. So we just really want to lift them up. And so I'm going to talk about joy today. And when I'm talking about joy, I want to talk about your personal joy. This is not really the joy in relationship or connection that I'm talking about today. It's the joy in the connection that you have to yourself. And so I want to begin with a story about my own life. As some of you know, I'm in the process of doing some continuing coaching education, and I'm studying with this really cool guy, Julio Alala. And it's a full person kind of a coaching. It's your body, it's your emotions, it's your language. And if you've been to any kind of training like this, you know the way it works is they give you a lesson, and then they send you off to work with it. So on one particular day, the lesson was about your mood. And when we say mood in this case, we're not talking about like I'm in a good mood today or I'm in a bad mood today. It's more like a vibe or an energetic way of being. And so they put us in our small group and they have us draw the home that we grew up in. And I'm like, well, this is easy. I got this going. I remember the home I grew up in, and my brother owns it now, so that threw me off for a few minutes because like what was in the house when I grew up versus what's in it now. But then they said, what was the mood in the home you grew up in? And I'll have to admit that an expletive that sounded like F me came out of my mouth. Very ministerial of me, isn't it? But so irreverent. John's been calling me irreverent all week. But I was like, wow, I would say I had a happy childhood. I really think I did. I was always off in my room choreographing my next dance routine. I had a happy childhood. I had a great family. But the mood between my parents was resentment and resignation. And, I kind of like the other two moods, which are peace and enthusiasm. Enthusiasm being, of spirit and theos. And so it helped me to get something about myself that I hadn't gotten before. When I am around people who are resigned, and I'll be honest, I've had periods in my life where I've been pretty resigned. When my brother died 3 years ago, I felt like I got hit by a truck. I was very resigned for at least 6 months. I was just like, I don't care about anything right now. Life is pointless. But mostly I'm peaceful and enthusiastic. That's kind of how I roll. And so I realized that I've had a lot of people in my life who are more resigned than resentful, because I don't really do resentful, but more resigned. And then how does that impact me when I'm around that? I feel like I need to fix it. And so just in the instant that they shared this teaching with us, I was like, oh my gosh, I just understood something about my life. Because when someone is resigned or resentful, I feel responsible. And I was like, wow, that is pretty profound. And I think it's why I haven't gotten married again, because I don't want anything in my house that's not peace and possibility. Don't you bring that here. So I share this with you because it helped me realize how my joy has escaped me sometimes, because I get into other people's business and I get disconnected from me. And that's really why we're on this spiritual path, because we need to get connected first with ourselves. So when I ask myself the question, who took my joy? The answer is, I did. Nobody can take your joy from you. And I'm not blaming myself. I'm just being real here. No one can take your joy unless you let them. And so if you don't feel joyful, you're the only one who can fix it. It's wonderful that we have people in our life that we love and that we're connected to, because it does make us happy, right? Certain people, they're just happier for us. But that deep sense of inner joy, that sense of being at peace no matter what, that comes from us. So let's unpack this and let's bring in some spiritual food here. So spiritually, when we talk about joy, we're talking about that inherent joy within ourselves. We're not talking about something external. And so we're looking for something inside of us. So I want to explain this model. Dom, could you bring up my first slide? So here's the model that I learned. And I think this is really helpful because you can spot yourself. So when we accept the facts of our life, we're at peace. When we accept the possibilities, we're in enthusiasm or ambition. But what happens when we reject the facts? We're in resentment. And when we reject the possibilities, we're in resignation. And I'm not talking about a mood you're having in a given day. We can plant ourselves there, can't we? And it's complicated because certain situations bring out certain things in us. So there's a mood where you work. There's a mood in your family. There might be a mood in some of your primary relationships. You know, I think that's what happened with my parents. They just moved into resentment and resignation, and they couldn't get themselves out of it. They were both good people. They were nice people, you know, but they were in that mood, and they didn't know how to shift it. And so I just want to invite you to ask yourself right now, where do you think you live most of the time? And just be really honest with yourself, because there's areas of all of our lives where we're not at the top of the chart. I know there's been certain things in my life where I felt pretty darn resigned, like this is never going to be different. I might have thought I was in peace, but I was really in resignation. So be honest with yourself about it. And what's the mood where you live? What's the mood in your home? You know, what was the mood where you grew up? And just, you know, be real about it. You know, we believe here we get to consciously choose. So the other thing I want to say is if you're claiming or noticing an area in your life where you're like, wow, you know, I'm in resentment or whatever, you can choose to move out of that. You know, I always try to say to myself, and I've said this before, if I'm resentful or if I'm resenting someone else for what they're doing, where does that live in me? Whatever it is I'm resenting, where does that quality live in me that I don't like about the other person? And how do I own that in myself first? And so remember that principle is not bound by precedent. That's one of our primary teachings here. So whatever happened in the past, it does not mean that you are destined that that is going to happen in the future. You know, so just remember you can change it. And so we're talking about joy. So where do you feel that joy is missing in your life right now? And where do you feel that joy is present? And just notice. And just notice this joy as a way of being. I realized recently that I was inhabiting some of the things in my life as a burden, just to be very real here, you know, because I drive around an awful lot in my car and it is exhausting to me. And the reason that things were feeling like a burden is because I was just too busy, you know, just not a minute to sit down and not a minute to be centered and grounded. And so for me, if I let myself get too busy, then I'm not going to feel joy. Michael Beckwith said, and I have a slide on this if you'd pull that up, Dom, if you're not living in joy, you're out of integrity with your own soul. I love that quote. So how do you come back into integrity with your own soul so that you can rediscover that inherent joy that's actually your nature? And the answer can be different for different people. You know, we talk about prayer and meditation a lot, but I think sometimes just doing something to take a break, go sing a song, go dance, go for a walk, go for a jog, you know, go out and have fun with your friends. Sometimes that's what we need to do to bring ourselves back. Sometimes it's just about connecting with someone. It's not always about like, I'm going to seriously sit here and fix my lack of joy as I meditate. I woke up yesterday and it was a beautiful morning, just like it is today, and I was sitting in my living room and I was looking out in the backyard, and it really reminded me why I moved to that house, because there is something about nature that for me brings me back to myself. And I was so excited to know that I didn't have to leave my house all day. That to me, I was so happy because I just felt joyful. I got to take a breath. So think about, what is it for you? What are the practices or things in your life that bring you back to yourself. What is it? Is it art? Is it laughing with friends? Is it being outside? Is it cooking? What is that thing that brings you back to your center and to the place where you realize everything is perfect as it is? This moment is perfect. And I got to talk about fun if I'm going to talk about joy, because I like to have fun, as we do here. And I found this great quote by Esther Hicks, which I've got a slide on this one too, Dom. Life is supposed to be fun. No one is taking score of any kind. And if you will stop taking score so much, you will feel a whole lot better. As you feel a whole lot better, more of the things you want right now will flow to you. You will never be in a place where all of the things that you're wanting will be satisfied right now, or then you would be complete, and you could never be complete. That's why we're here, we're becoming, right? But you're right on track, right on schedule. Everything is unfolding perfectly. All is really well. Have fun, have fun, have fun. Don't you love that one? You know, one of my favorite lines in that is, no one is taking score. Does anyone else relate to that? I don't know about anyone else, but I think sometimes I inhabit my life as if someone's keeping score. Not in a God is watching you and you're good and bad as the way that we might grow up, but like there's some scorekeeper out there, and certainly our country's in that conversation right now, right? You pick up social media, it's all about what did somebody do wrong? It's not about what people did right. But there's also this voice of should, which we've talked about before in that conversation of keeping score. And if you're in your should, if you're doing what you think you should do, you are not in your joy. Because it's not what you want to do, it's what you think you should do. So I just ask you, what does your spirit want? What does your spirit want? There's a story about a woman who's always praying, and she's always praying for the things that she thinks are going to make her happy. And then finally she realizes, why don't I just pray to be happy? Why am I praying for all these things? I love that story because we can think it's outside, right? We forget that the energy is in us. It's the energy that is in us. Roger Teal, if you don't know who he was the senior minister at Mile High Church for 40 years. He just retired, and he wrote a book called This Life is Joy. And he tells the story of his son, Bobby. When Bobby was a young man, his dream was to go to Magic Mountain, which I guess is in California, and spend the whole day at the park with his friend. That's what he wanted to do. And so they get there at the time that it opens up, and the kids are just running from ride to ride, and they're having a great time. And they barely stop to rest. They barely stop to eat. And you know, if you've ever been at a park with kids when you're an adult, you're just not really in that, like, I'm joyful to go on all these rides and be here all day. You're like, can we go home now? Right? Isn't that true? But the kids were so much just having fun. They were playing full out. They were really enjoying their day. And at the end of the day, the other thing he noticed that I wanted to mention is as the day went on, they got bolder. They wouldn't go on the scary rides at the beginning of the day, but by the end of the day, they were going on the scary rides. They didn't care. They let their fear leave them. And he said they drove home, and his son fell asleep in the car, and he couldn't even wake him up when he got home because he had played so full out. And I think that's what we're going for. And also learning that the fears that stop us from doing it, like the fears these kids had about going on the roller coasters, we want to let those go, or maybe we need to feel them anyway, whatever that expression is, but just move towards our joy, even if it's scary. So are there any fears that you have that are keeping you from your joy right now? And if you do, what are they? You know, we need to lean into that fear, and we need to do it anyway, because things always work out. Even if it looks completely different than we think it's going to, things really do always work out. So how do you start to do that? First, you need to recognize the mood you're living in. What is your way of being? What is the energy that you are living in most of the time? Your vibration, as Esther Hicks would say. And if your joy feels absent, you're the only one who can fix it. It's not about someone else. It's not about your circumstances. It's an inner game. So don't give anyone else the power to influence that or take that away from you. Slow down. Give yourself some space. You know, a lot of people here have done the artist's way. I think that's actually a beautiful way to find your joy. because you get to go on artist dates, you get to play, you get to just explore things. But if you slow down and you give yourself the space to experience your joy, you're going to find it. You're going to find it. So commit to living in integrity with your soul. Whatever your soul is saying to you, it's not someone else's life, it's your life. And there's not one right expression of the joy that's trying to come through you. It's what you want that joy to be. And I think that's the hardest thing to get, especially when we do live in this land of shoulds. I think when I was younger, I really was trying to have a certain image and stuff in the corporate world because I thought that's what I needed, especially as a woman, because that's the first thing people look at is your appearance, and they don't necessarily take you seriously. But then just realizing, like, wow, that should thing, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I got all this stuff I think I'm supposed to have, but I'm not really happy because I feel stressed out all the time. And I think that is one of the major challenges we have in the world right now. People are stressed out all the time. I cannot tell you how many conversations I have with people who are like, I can never turn my phone off. I have to be on all the time. You know, I'm expected to work so much. I mean, it is the conversation of our day. And I appreciated that John this morning said, do we have to do the social media sharing thing? And I'm like, we don't. Do whatever you want, you know. Tell them turn off your phone. I'm fine with that. So let go of keeping score and shoulds. There's not a great scorekeeper in the sky waiting to judge you or give you your points. But let go of that idea and anybody else's idea. And you know, I also want to comment on the mood in the country right now. I touched on this a little bit, but I would say the mood in the country right now is really a mood of blame. It's a mood of resentment. And it's hard not to let that seep into you, you know, unless you turn off the news feed on your phone, you can't miss it. It is there all the time. So just realize that you are in the middle of this mood that the country is in. And you might have to work a little harder to not be in that mood, right? And so just be aware of how the things around you affect you. And find your joy in the present moment. You know, there's an amazing world happening out there, and sometimes we miss it. Last Sunday, I live by this beautiful bike path. I usually run on it. And Sunday, I was just, Mom, my whole body hurts today. I just am not going to run today. And so this was after service. I went home, and I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk today instead of running. Because when I'm running, all I'm worried about is, you know, where I'm going. But I walked. And I noticed all these things I don't usually notice, even though I take the same path every single day. And so, can you slow down enough to find your joy in the present moment? I think kids are very good at this. And so are animals. My nephew was over with his 2 dogs yesterday, and they're just like jumping on each other. They were having a great time, but they're in the moment. And lean into your fear and your joy. If Spirit put a dream in your heart, it's your dream. It's not somebody else's dream, it's your dream. And you know, some of us who had parents who grew up during the Depression and World War II, they didn't really believe that they should be allowed to dream. They were just so grateful that they had food and clothing, but that unwillingness to have a bigger dream or feeling like you didn't need to have one, that can also seep into us, right? It's a mood. And so just be aware of that, like what is around you, what has been around you that has caused you to limit your own possibility. And you know, life is not going to be perfect, as we know this morning with Dave's passing. You know, the people we love are gonna pass. You know, life has, as Pema Chodron, and I've said this before, says, life has both wanted and unwanted things. We can't avoid it. You know, you do need, if you're going through something, you do need to get present to what's happening. Because if you don't feel your feelings and your emotions, then they're going to continue to live in your body. And so, if that's where you're at right now, then just give yourself some space. Let yourself be where you are. I think that's one of the most powerful things you can do. And give yourself some time, because your joy will come back. That's what I found when my brother died. There were 6 solid months of like, I don't care about anything. And then all of a sudden one day it started to get better. It just started to get better. And yet there were profound gifts in that, because I don't think I've ever had another experience in my life where I felt more loved than by the people in my life. I mean, it blew me away. So even in the sadness, there was some joy, just realizing like we're connected. But if you're in a place right now that's not happy, just remember this expression. It's a Chinese proverb. You cannot prevent the birds of sorrow from flying over your head, but you can prevent them from building nests in your hair. Isn't that great? You're responsible for your own joy, no one else's. That's your job. But it's not a hard job because it's your nature. And so we get sent down from wherever it is that we come from. And we know that's where Dave went, so we know that Dave is happy, his spirit is free. But all the resources, all the joy, all the good is present for us. But we forget that we knew that when we came in, because we let the concerns of life get in our way. And I was trying to find a really great story about someone who really followed their joy, and then things worked out great for them. And I couldn't come up with one story, but I came up with a lot of stories. I think about Oprah Winfrey. Her hair fell out because they made her straighten it, and then she becomes a talk show host, and she's like, this is what I'm here to do. I think about Michael Jordan. He got cut from the basketball team, and he keeps playing, and he's arguably, at least in my opinion, one of the best players of all times, maybe the best, just because I'm from Chicago and I'm biased. But, you know, there's lots of other stories. You know, Thomas Edison, people thought he was crazy, but he had this dream to create something, and he kept going. So there's lots of examples of people following their joy. The outer expression and the doing is simply to connect to the being. It's really the beingness of the joy. You know, we can think of it as, oh, I'm in my joy, I'm dancing or whatever, I'm singing, I'm doing whatever it is that brings me joy. But it's really about connecting to that within yourself. That's just the outer expression. The inner expression is the truth. So I'm going to close with a quote from Ernest Holmes. Let us waste no further time looking for the key to happiness. Already the door is open, and whosoever will may enter. So I just invite everyone to walk through that door with me. We're going to move into prayer now. Are you guys coming up to sing? Okay, bring it on. I got the chords all tangled up here this morning.
Let's just give it up for this amazing leader, our spiritual director, Reverend Amy. I don't know about you, but you know, you tell us how you've seen growth and you give us growth. But I've seen so much growth in you. And as a leader, and I know this is not easy, you decided, you listened to God. You found your joy in taking on this responsibility to bring joy to all of us. And I know it's not easy, but we say thank you. And we love you. We say to that, if you want to walk in power, dedicate an hour for the shower of love. Do it in the evening, you will be receiving piece of you that you left behind. A little for your father, a little for your mother, a little for your sister, a little for your brother, a little love for your soul will make you whole.
So we turn within in this moment, and we just absolutely know the presence and power of love, of joy, of grace, of goodness. This greater something that is always happening around us, whether we are aware of it or not. And I know my oneness with this presence, this power, this love, this goodness, this joy. And as I know this for myself, I know this for each of the beautiful members of Cityside, that we are all one with this joy, this grace, this love, this goodness. So from this place of oneness, I just know and declare that we are deeply committed as a community to living our joy. I know that each and every person here is inspired to living their life in greater joy. And I know that there is a beautiful joy in community that is happening here and our connection with others. And so I know that we are all lifted up. We see the possibility for our lives, and we choose to live in peace and possibility. I just know that God's got all of this, that all is already known in the mind of God, and it is now made manifest in the world of form. And I'm just so grateful to know this truth, that we can count on this, and that joy is the truth of our nature. And with so much gratitude for all of this, I simply say, and so it is. Amen.
A little for your father, a little for your mother, a little for your sister, a little for your brother, a little love for your soul will make you whole.
Oh, how beautiful. Thank you so much, Reverend Amy. That was wonderful, powerful message. And now it's our time to give our gifts and offerings. So Cityside is a community-supported organization, and one of the ways that I find that it's helpful to extend and deepen my own joy is to give where I'm spiritually fed. So I want to invite you to move into that practice with me, this practice of gratitude, this practice of celebrating joy. And so just want you to take out your gifts and hold them in your hand and consider thinking about, as we've already been talking about this morning, things that which is present in your life that gives you joy. And just holding this gift in gratitude, I just want to invite you all to affirm it by sharing this affirmation on the screen with me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And if you prefer to give by text, you can text the word give to 312-757-8111, or you can donate on our website. And for our friends in the room, we have baskets being passed. And I'm so grateful and so thankful for all these gifts and offerings. Thank you for passing those baskets. Thank you so much. I'm actually looking for something so we have our announcements. So I wanted to just share a couple things with you. One is that we have a dear friend of the community, Levi Crace, who's going to be performing at City Winery in June. So on June 18th, is that right, Levi? Yeah, at 8 p.m. So I hope you can join him and join some of us there to support him. And I know Levi is a Tony Award winner, and it's another reason to come. It's another reason to come and be present in the room with us, because we do have celebrities from time to time. So, and we truly do. We truly love Levi, and he brings so much joy and so much love to this community. Yes. Thank you so much. We are moving, As I mentioned earlier, I hope you stayed with me. So on June 2nd will be our first Sunday in our new space. It is at 1821 West Hubbard Street. It is the Fulton Street Artists Collective. It's a beautiful room. It's a lot of brick, some really beautiful big windows, very high ceiling, and lots of light. And there's an elevator, and so it's very, very accessible. And I think you'll really have a powerful, wonderful experience. So I hope you'll consider joining us in real life. And there is a parking lot, so parking is very convenient. So I hope you'll come check us out. So we'll be announcing this. We'll be doing an email blast out, and you'll hear more about it as we get closer to the date. But just a few weeks away. And also, while we're on that topic, I just want to say a special thanks to Elastic Arts. They've been our home here for almost a year, and they've been just wonderful to work with and really, really lovely people. And so we celebrate and applaud their partnership with us. What else have we got going on, Dom? What's the next slide? Join our Facebook group. Yes, so there's a Facebook page. Amy is trying to get me to understand this, but because I don't really use Facebook very much. But I guess there's a Facebook page and a Facebook group. So if you find our Facebook page, you can join the group. And in the group, we have a lot of announcements and sharings. So please consider doing that. I know there isn't a slide about it, but Russ asked me to mention that we are sharing our live stream on YouTube now. So if you're a YouTube user, yeah, I know, really. We're all grown up. It's just amazing. If you search for Cityside on YouTube, you'll find probably a couple of things, but you want the one with Amy in it. And please like it and share it and applaud it and comment how much you love it. That would be awesome. And we have a new book study starting on May 13th. So we're doing The Power of Meditation, which is a beautiful, beautiful book. And we're going to be looking at all the different ways of having meditation practice and also all the things that are challenging us to have a routine in our meditation practice. So it's going to be a really great, it's just a conversation. It's for an hour. It's online. It's by Zoom. We'll send out all that information. If you register, you'll get the Zoom Connect information. And I hope you can join us. We have a great group, and we have a great time just having a wonderful conversation. And what else have we got going on? Oh, and that's it. All right. Well, let's sing ourselves home then. I do want to thank the service team. I want to thank Max, who's our pianist, guest pianist, and Ben on the drums. And of course, our amazing singers who just bless us all the time.
Amen. Thank you, John. Can we all stand to our feet? Grab your neighbor's hand. Let's do it the Cityside way in this song. And I'm going to dedicate this to Dave and the Wood family in these words. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say, amen. I just love this song. Simple words, but yet so much meaning. Yeah, here we go.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surrounds us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in
oneness for myself. I know the oneness for each and every single person connected here now and present in this community and present for this prayer. And I just know as we move through our week that joy is present, joy is unfolding, joy is showing up in ways expected and unexpected. I say a special blessing upon the Witt family and our friend Dave, just knowing his greatest yet to be is unfolding for him. Sent him on his way with love and joy. And just know all this joy is present. And I'm so grateful for it. And I simply say, and so it is.
Let's sing this for Dave. One more time. Blessed always. Here we go. Blessed always. Blessed always. For the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest